second purple candle is the Bethlehem candle. All right. And each week when I have it together, we'll have a mother, one of the mothers in our church, to come light the candles. And that just signifies that it was a woman, a mother, that brought the light into the world, where Jesus called himself in John that he was the light of the world. So we just do that as a little remembrance of that. All right. So Micah 5:2 says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times." That's specific. He said the Messiah was going to come from Bethlehem. And then in Luke 2:1-7, it says, "In those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to his own town to register. So Joseph also went up from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, the town of David, because he belonged to the house and line of David. He went there to register with Mary, who was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in cloths and placed him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn." So, in 1809, the news around the world was concentrated in Austria, not Britain and not America, but Austria. The whole attention of the entire world was on Napoleon. All right, as he swept across the country, nothing else was half as significant as this happening on an international level. History gives complete emphasis to the tyranny created by the little dictator of France. At that time, his name was actually synonymous with superiority, okay? So at this time, the invasions and the battles, babies were being born in Britain and America, which nobody was paying attention to those countries. And who would be interested in that, right? Who would have been more important in 1809 than the fall of Austria? Well, somebody would have been wise to care, because a whole host of thinkers and statesmen were all born in 1809. William Gladstone, who was regarded as one of Britain's greatest prime ministers, was born in Liverpool. Alfred Tennyson began his life in Lincolnshire, which he was one of the most popular English poets. Oliver Wendell Holmes was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts. He was a doctor who was one of the best regarded American poets, and his son was also a Supreme Court justice. All right, let's see. Edgar Allan Poe, an American poet, started his brief and tragic life a few miles away in Boston. A physician named Darwin and his wife called their infant son Charles Robert. Robert Charles Winthrop was born, an American statesman who studied law with Daniel Webster and served as a congressman and senator, and he was the great-great-grandfather of John Kerry. In a rugged log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, that was owned by an illiterate wandering laborer, a baby was born named Abraham Lincoln. All right, all that and more happened in 1809. But who cared? The destiny of the world was being shaped in the battlefields of Austria. Or was it? Only a handful of history buffs today could name even one Austrian campaign. But who can measure the impact of those other lives, good or bad? What appeared to be super significant to the world was not. And what seemed to be totally insignificant was the beginning of an era. So 18 centuries before that, who could have cared about the birth of a baby while the world was watching Rome in all her splendor? The Roman Empire was vast. Political intrigue, racial tension, increased immorality, and enormous military might occupied everyone's attention and conversation. All eyes were on Augustus, the ruler who demanded a census so as to determine a measurement to increase his taxes. Who was interested in a couple making an 80-mile trip south from Nazareth? What could possibly be more important than Caesar's decisions in Rome? Who cared about a Jewish baby born in Bethlehem? Though he didn't realize that Caesar Augustus acted as God's instrument in orchestrating the birth of the Messiah in the prophesied Bethlehem. Caesar was only an errand boy in the fulfillment of Micah's prediction. The taking of the census was just a secular thing, yet God uses the most seemingly unspiritual things to accomplish his purposes. While Rome was busy making history, God arrived. The world didn't even notice. Is that true today? How about in your life? Are you so busy with your plans that you haven't even noticed that God is here? I think we do. I think we don't even realize that the things that are happening in our world and in our country, in our families, in our friends, the things that happen to us have a greater purpose, and we have to keep our eyes on God. And we sing that song, you know, even though God doesn't move the mountains, even though he doesn't part the waters, even though he makes, you know, choices that we would not have made, and he doesn't answer us the way we want, we still have to trust him because we don't see. We didn't see what was happening in 1809. We didn't see what was happening at the turn of the millennium. We just didn't know because our eyes weren't where it was supposed to be. And God has given us, I told you that last week, how many prophecies God's given us. We just need to be, the sons of Issachar, one of the children of the Israelites, they said that they were renowned for understanding the times. And that's what we need to do. We need to understand the times and where we are and what God's doing, and even in our own families. And I've got 3 children and 20 grandchildren that I travail over constantly because I don't understand what God is doing. But we have to trust. We have to trust in God. So in that, again, we need to keep our eyes on God and not be so busy that we don't see what God is doing. All right? In the Christmas season. All right. So this is the time when we don't have the stewardship lesson, but let's bring the Lord's tithe into his storehouse this morning. Bring the Lord's tithe into his storehouse this morning.